Anybody have any questions? Okay. So, now therefore it be resolved by USD 244 that the 2025-2026 budget with a levy of property tax exceeding the revenue neutral tax rates calculated by, for 2025-2026 as adjusted pursuant to KSA 79-2988 is hereby adopted.
Second?
Okay, motion second, and then we have to do a roll call vote. So Higgins votes aye.
Aye.
Underneath, aye.
Ron's an aye.
Palmer's an aye.
And we'll miss Selena there, right?
And Lucas.
So,
Yes.
motion carries 5-0.
I'll have you sign this and then,
Okay,
You want me to sign that eventually?
that meeting is adjourned.
We have to wait till 6:45 for the next one, right? We do. So, there's,
Budget hearing meeting to order. Okay. So, assume you all got a chance to read the budget. I mean, we talked about it. Is there any questions on that?
What's the increase in the capital outlay budget for?
That $1 million increase is for our 1 year, $1 million for 3 years for the VOAG shop addition renovation.
this is the second year of it. It was last year.
Well, we adopted
No,
it
we
last year,
adopted
this is the
last
first
And
year.
this is the
First year.
first year of it, but we,
So it'll be $1 million for 3 years for the VOAG shop addition renovation, that project.
And if you'll remember, prior to that, we had a mill levy increase that we said we would stop once we hit that deal, and we did stop it.
That was $1 million
That
for
was
5
for
years.
5 years, and then we stopped for, I think, 2 years or whatever, and then we came back with this.
It should be before it's done.
The shop, yes, the VOAG shop is done, we will have an open house on the September 15th.
Yeah.
It's publicly, I think Craig has got some information out, so anxious for the people to see
Yeah,
that.
that's gonna be awesome.
So what are we, as far as the capital outlay,
sir.
when are we gonna fix the things that you thought were problems down at the elementary school?
Good question. We're having a board retreat this week, and actually we have 2 meetings that we're gonna have a discussion about that. We're gonna discuss fixing some of those things. So,
Start working on it.
yes, we have put the things, unless it was immediate need, we put all that stuff on hold until we could all meet together and say, what are we gonna do now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I watched or read the last board meeting, and I don't think we need any more press box renovations and that sort of thing until we get our elementary school and stuff up to snuff.
Okay.
The priority here is school buildings, not press boxes.
Well, I think you'll notice that we found out that on the last meeting.
I know, and I appreciate that, but.
That doesn't mean we won't in the future, that just means right now we're not ready for that.
I understand, but to me, right now, especially since you felt we needed to get something done with our elementary school,
Yep.
then I strongly suggest that.
I'm not talking for the board, but it sounds like the board's in agreement with you, because that's what we thought as well. So, yeah.
Looking into the press boxes was something that we were talking about before the bond issue was even completed. So that was just basically tying up loose ends on that project, or on that investigation, if you will.
We asked the superintendent to give us some bids and give us some ideas for that, and that's what he did. So,
Okay.
There's a lot of information that should look somewhat familiar from years past. Again, it gives you information about the general fund, as well as capital outlay, as well as some different capital outlay expenditures, that we have talked about, we have discussed. The rec commission recognition budget is there. While separate from ours, it does get tied in with us, and we share that information at this time as well, so it's attached. Again, supplemental general fund, also known as local option budget, that information is there. We did, we do have a LOB this year at 33%, and that was approved and okay. Did not get a protest on the local option budget. Focus of the local option budget, again, goes towards
I
funding.
thought that's what this hearing was about.
No,
Goes
goes
to the
towards,
budget, this is the budget hearing for the entire budget.
this goes for funding salaries, retirement pay, supplemental positions, board share of health insurance, natural gas, electricity, funding for student transportation, and so on and so forth, career and post-secondary education, 4-year-old at risk, and so on and so
The
forth. So,
revenue neutral, we just had, the meeting right before this, we just passed it.
Yeah, that's the one I must have missed then.
You must have missed it. And there was a protest at the county that you could have filed a protest and went and did, and we received no protest. So, but we had the vote tonight, and so we just passed it.
Yeah, I came and went into I didn't realize
We're over here,
you're over here. I went to that building and nobody there, so I kind of ran around town looking for it.
well, sorry about that. Okay,
Well, I'll make one comment about the general budget.
sure.
To me, when you do salary increases, if you give the teachers $150 a month increase, to me, that's all administrators should be getting. Don't give them the same percentage wise, because 2.5% on $100,000 is a hell of a lot more money. And if $150 is good enough for a teacher, that'd be good enough for everybody else.
Thank you.
Maybe you could use some of that extra money then to help get higher wages for paras, so we can get some, not be short all the time on paras.
Have you been watching?
We're doing all we can.
We have been doing that. We raised our para stuff this year too. But the jobs are different. I mean, you have certain teachers have certain responsibilities, and those superintendents have different responsibilities. And
I understand all that, but let's be honest, I can have administrators gone, and school keeps going, but I don't have anybody in that classroom, you don't do no teaching.
Well,
So to
Jim,
me, the more important things is the classroom. The further you're away from that, my estimation, the less important.
Jim, thanks for your comments, but I don't think we're here to argue that. I think you could argue that with any business out there in the county right now, so that with administrators and regular workers, so thanks for your comments.
Any other questions, anybody, anything?
Okay, if there is no more questions, were you, okay. So therefore, the budget hearing, the meeting's adjourned. We'll start our regular board meeting at 7 o'clock.
Craig, is the other side unlocked? Do I need to check to see?
I believe a lot.
Chance to look over your agenda, any additions to the agenda? Hearing none. Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Oh, I guess I'll make it, isn't it? Did you make it? I guess I will. Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. You know, second, I'll say. Motion seconded. Now you, I'm here or vote?
On the computer.
Okay, vote on your computer. Motion carries 6-0. Moving on, the concerns of Burlington USD 244 patrons. We have none. Communications, written items. Seeing got a thank you letter from Lori Herman.
That's nice.
It was nice, yes.
Lori does a terrific job in our district with all of our nursing needs, and very nice note.
Moving right along to Mr. Long. Darla.
Do you have any questions for me?
No, I did notice that it looks like next year our enrollment is up. If all those kindergartners come to first grade, I mean,
Well,
Kindergarten is small this year, so
pre-K,
kindergarten,
AM and pre-K.
they all won't come.
remember,
So pre-K AM is majority 3-year-olds. We basically have some overflow in 4-year-olds where we can only have so many kids in our preschool sessions.
Right.
And so instead of turning away 4-year-olds because we were over that number, we strategically routed a few kids 4-year-olds up into AM. So a couple of those, like a handful in the AM, will come to kindergarten, and I would say all of the PM ones will come to kindergarten. So it'd be there's like 37 in the PM, 38. And then there's probably about 5 AM ones, so it would be about what we have currently in kindergarten, but there are, we know, a few, not very many kids at, Trinity
Oh,
Preschool.
right, okay.
So the 31 and 37 are two different ages.
Yes,
Yes. It's not all of them moving into kindergarten next
Right.
year.
Darn it, I thought we was getting ready for a big boom here.
But you might see a couple bump, maybe
Yeah.
a 48,
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
yeah.
yeah, remember our preschool programs, program is a 3-year-old and 4-year-old.
We actually had a big influx, like, in our 4-year-old program. I mean, it was, a good number last year, but like, we got several kids in our 4-year-old program that didn't attend as 3-year-olds this year,
Yeah.
which caused like a capacity issue.
Yeah.
Do we have any idea historically, like, if we have, let's say we had 40 pre-K 4-year-olds, what that number usually comes out to in kindergarten? Because I'm sure there's some kids that don't go to the preschool, go somewhere else.
There
or-
are, but I would say, I mean, I could go back and get that data for you, but
I
I
don't need
feel
an
like
exact
since
number.
we've added since we have had 2 full-time teachers, I would say that we were probably getting 90% of
Okay.
the kids. Especially because we've had that relationship with the other preschools in town, but one of those is now closed. And the other one, I know just because Miss Amanda, who's the liaison, just told me that she had visited with the teacher there, and they have, they do not love how we have to slot our kids so late because it impacts their enrollment a little bit. And they are pretty small this year at that place, but any kids so I just had a family come up with a 4-year-old and ask me the other day about enrolling, and I'm like, we're closed. They have openings, we'll try to help route kids there, but they're only a 3-day-a-week program. There's just a lot more benefits to if you can get a spot in the school, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So then the only other question I had on the 21st century, I know this is our last year, and I know we've talked about it here. Are we looking at how or?
Well, we actually have an on-site visit on, Wednesday of this week with the Kansas Enrichment Network, who basically works side by side with the state of Kansas. So I'm one of the, we have to fill out a pre-meeting survey, to visit with her. And one of the questions I've asked is just what is the state's position right now on requests for proposals for next year, based on the fact that our funding was held this year, is the state thinking that they're gonna put out requests for, what do they know maybe in terms of, so if there's funding, if they're gonna take requests for proposals a little later on this year, every year the 21st Century Funds are becoming more competitive, and so they usually add new indicators for even being able to request for proposal. So last year, when they had talked about that, one of the items that is now a mandatory factor to even apply for the funding is you have to hit a certain percentage of free and reduced lunches, and we're kind of on the bubble of that. So last year when I had asked, Jamie Kiger is our Kansas Enrichment lady, she had checked into it and she thought that we would be eligible. So that will be a big determining factor. And the last time we granted, you had to add new components, which is why we added the summer program. So they just put different things that you have to include in your proposal. I think that's really gonna depend on what direction the federal funds go. So if they are gonna release out funds, we'll apply for that grant, and then we'll know by the end of the school year if we have it or not. So if we don't get awarded it again, then I think, we need
We need
to
to
kind of
look at this,
plan.
exactly.
Mhm.
Just need to keep it on our radar.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we'll request that. Anybody else have anything for Darla? Okay, Matt Spring.
Really have anything to add, any questions? Yeah. Volleyball went 3-1 tonight against Leva. So, pretty good turnout.
Get any hits on your interventionist library position?
No,
That's
we
posted.
will have when we interviewed, that's one thing that we said is that this for sure will be a year position, because we know the value that position had. The individual that's going to take it, we are going to look at maybe her working with a few kids, so we'll see how that goes.
Thank you, Mr. Spring.
We do have Lee Baldwin.
Lee Baldwin,
Lee's with us
you're-
here.
You're on the bubble.
Lee, thank you for joining us. Lee's in Cincinnati right now, and so Lee.
Any questions?
Good evening,
for-
everyone.
Evening. Any questions for Lee?
I had one that just piqued my interest. It says updated transportation request form on the admin report. Is that transportation like to activities, or are we talking like school buses? What does that mean?
So, we updated our request functionality and how we do that. So our model for activities and athletics still goes through requesting with our athletic director and our activities director. But all other inquiries, since we have a new transportation person and through our meetings, we thought the best way to adapt that was to fill out essentially a form online to where they would get notification of that. The request goes through myself and then our activities athletic director, Arian Seidel, and just so that we have 3 or 4 people with documentation if that happens. So we told our teachers and staff that if they need a vehicle or anything that's not activity or sports related, they fill out that form online. So we have the documentation for it. And then Brian down at the bus barn has verification that somebody filled it out. And it's just to try to expedite the process to where it's not someone just coming and trying to pick up a vehicle the day of. It helped him out a lot, being able to plan his schedule a week in advance. And then we just educated our teachers on the protocol to do that. So it's not someone just coming up, hey, I need a vehicle at this time. You know, he's getting them prepped, he's getting them ready to go. And then there's just a schedule of it, so we can access that at any point. So we know who's going where versus just writing on an old kind of piece of paper type of thing.
So it's more targeted towards activities and sports, right? What you're saying? No, just intervention.
No.
No, so the form that we have 2 different forms. The first one's with our activities and athletics. So all of our coaches and sponsors will go in online and fill those out for the whole year. And then, but anybody that's going anywhere else for a conference or, you know, we just went up to Emporia State last week for a junior and senior day. Like filling out those transportation requests online through this form really helps Brian out understanding how many vehicles we have available, how many buses we have available. And then we meet every Friday with our admin, and he's one of those that we meet with to make sure we have everything available in that regard doing that. So it's electronic, so we can track it, trace it, and then he gets final permission on what's available and what's not.
Is this a tool that's shared across all the district, or is this just at the high school?
This could easily be a tool that is shared throughout the entire district. It's just in our OneDrive. It's just a form that we're using as a tool. If this is something that, as a board and district, that we want to use across, I mean, it could be done in less than an hour, really. I mean, it's just an electronic form that you create online. It took secretaries less than 20 minutes to do it, and then when we report, or when someone completes one, Brian down at Transportation gets an email for it, I get one, and then Mary Ann gets one as well. So we have 3 people that can access this schedule, so we know who's going where and what's available.
Yeah, just the last comment, if it's an efficiency gain at the high school, I think we should share it with the whole district.
Right
They've
now,
already shared it with us.
Okay.
I mean, we haven't used it, we don't do that much transportation, so it's not a big deal. I mean,
right now.
It sounds like
it's
any
right now.
vehicle, a car, bus, van.
We don't use, we just don't use that much
I'm sure
transportation.
the transportation director.
That was the last comment, nothing additional.
So just to piggyback on that, we've had 20 different instances already of somebody requesting a vehicle, either not already, but in the future. So just being able to have Brian be able to prepare and plan for those things has helped him out quite a bit, and we just have documentation of who's going where.
Right.
So,
Okay, thank you, Lee.
any other questions about the board report, or I know it's my first one, so if anybody else has any questions, I'd be glad to go over any of those.
I don't believe I have any. Your report looked good, thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, thank you.
you bet. Moving along, Lindsay. How we doing on hiring?
Actually, we're doing pretty well. So, at the elementary right now, I have 1 opening. At the middle school, we are now fully staffed. At the high school, we are back staffed to where we were the beginning of the year before we had 2 late resignations. So I really would like to get 1 to 2 more there. Southern Coffee County is fully staffed. Waverly needs 1, and Lebo had a late resignation just in the last week and would like 1. So actually, we're under 10 and doing pretty well. So.
What's the difference?
She's beating the bushes.
Well, I don't really know. You know, we attempted this year to go, because we did not have, I couldn't have said that we were that good of a spot even as recent as back to school night. So Darla actually brought up like setting up tables at back to school night, stuff like that. So we kind of divided and conquered with teachers and Joe Sprague, my coordinator, and myself, and covering those events. The ones I covered, I can't tell you. I had a million people come and talk to me. Did that spark conversation outside of there though? Possibly. Because we've had here, I'd say an average of 2 to 3 per week coming in of new applicants. Some for subs, some for different things. So I don't know if it's just word of mouth or what, but it was late because, like I said, we were upward of closer to 20 just at back to school night. And so now we've been able to fill here. But like when we had people who applied, they're also applied for multiple positions. So when Matt had interviews for the library aide, I joined those. If we felt they were a good fit for the district, but maybe that wasn't the spot, then, you know, I was there to pick it up and call back and say, hey, would you be interested in doing this? And we were able to, you know, kind of tag, not bring them in multiple times, but yet still get good people in our schools.
So you mentioned something, and I know this isn't really just for you, but how are we looking on subs this year compared to previous? Does anybody have those numbers?
I think there's more names in the pool,
That's,
so that's good. I definitely think the increase is motivating people to maybe get in our buildings more. So we have had just some, you know, today I did a direct hire on somebody, and I don't know her, I called her, asked her if she's still interested. I mean, we gotta give people some opportunities, you know, like, we're not gonna know everybody that comes through our door, but I mean, like today I had a substitute, one of my long-term sub called in sick, and we couldn't fill it, so we had to steal in-house. I mean, we made it work, but hopefully there'll be less of those days this year, because I think there are more names in the jar, so.
well, the pay difference hasn't been out there for that long yet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So I'd like to think over, throughout the year, maybe that'll,
I do think that's gonna make
Okay.
a difference.
thank you.
Okay, any more questions for Lindsay? None? Mr. Coolman?
Any questions?
Hmm?
Any questions for me?
We finally got Skyward going now, huh?
With each day, we get a little further with it.
Ask little questions.
That is going better.
It is, oh, it is. Yeah, like I said, with each day, everything gets better. You know, you go to, you know, run a report and somebody says, oh, I don't have access to that, so, you know, you have to add access. You know, different things like that. They made it very secure, compared to their old product, so, I mean, it's like literally thousands of check boxes rather than 20, you
A lot
know?
of work for you guys then to.
Yeah, it's like, well, I wonder why you don't have that, you know, figure out where, you know,
So there's
things
not
like
like
that,
a
but.
template you can make like this person or like this person.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you put people in groups, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, have fun.
With another
We're,
review
I was
next
gonna,
week.
what's that?
With another review coming up next week on payroll.
Actually tomorrow, so this report was done last week,
Okay.
so tomorrow we have it's time tracking with the payroll. Nicole and I will be going through that, in prep for the Skyward Business in November. So, we finish with one and start the other.
Well, thanks for your work on that, so.
Thank you.
I failed to mention one thing in my report, and I just wanna give credit to the, to the ladies, on the district side of the office, and then also Whitney on my side. We had our audit, the first day of school was our actual audit day, but they started collecting everything, they ended up doing it all remote this year. We had a new auditor, so we were a little nervous, they asked for things they never asked for, so that makes us nervous. And it's the best audit we've had since I've been here. So we knew we had a couple errors, so we were prepared for, a certain level, but it was an amazing audit. I was pleasantly surprised, but like I said, I was expecting it to be something different. And in light of the Medicaid error that was made at the Kansas Health Department, this is a nice thing to offset and not have another big hit there too. So, but that's not really a testament to me. I get to take credit for it, but it's really everybody else that's doing all the work.
So I can't remember, we talked about last meeting about what the Medicaid damages for us, what was that gonna cost us?
It's $80,000.
80,000.
79 and some change, so that's co-op wide. 245 actually gets money, but the other two districts are who made up the rest of that hit. So we did opt for them to take it out of future payments,
Yeah.
which is the best way to do it. The problem is most of us are doing that, it's not gonna still end up being that amount, and they don't know what they're gonna do at that point anyway. So the state had 30 days to pay back $11 million, so they gave us a year. It took 6 years to get to this point, so we're all, not everybody in the state's in that boat, so.
Okay. Thank you, Lindsay. Craig Marshall.
First of all, I want to thank our administration and directors. The leadership that they are providing is just tremendous. We are off to a really terrific start to the school year. Cannot say enough good things, and that comes from our leadership, but also our people every day, our teachers, our paras, our cooks, custodians, bus drivers, everyone. So again, big thank you to everybody involved in a terrific start to the school year. Again, at this meeting, I share with you some information on superintendent's goals that you've given for me to look at in the past, and again, we're just going to continue to work on those goals as well as any others that you may have for me to add. One item to add to that goal list would be the land development information that I'm working on. That's the land south of the high school that we're moving forward with and progressing. And I want to thank Mayor Sam Luke and the city council. They were tremendous to work with, as well as the county commissioners, as well as housing authority, Rhonda Gilbert, Bill Parker, and so on and so forth. We have worked really well together with a lot of partnerships over the many years, 10 years that I've been here now. So again, I want to thank the city as well as others. So I'll be working on that as time moves forward as well. So if there's other goals that you have, just feel free to share them with me, or we can be happy to talk about those at other times.
Yes, sir, and thank the board, city council for doing that, appreciate it.
Just to let you know, I'll give you a copy of the check that's sitting in City Hall. But I anticipate some work to be accomplished before we release it.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you so
Thank you
much.
very much.
I was hoping for one of those really big foam board checks.
We'll maybe do a nice picture.
We'll put it on the bulletin board in front of our office.
And again, work will begin for you guys on superintendent's evaluation, as we move forward this year. Again, we'll do administrator contract renewals in December, just again, heads up information that you guys have been aware of in the past. And then I also shared a document of just the many different things. Again, this is my 10th year, it's a decade for me to be here, so again, just very proud of the many things that and I want to emphasize we have achieved working together about, just to make great things happen here in Burlington over the years. And again, I'm very proud of, again, I want to focus on the word we, what we have done in the district, and look forward to many great things in the future. And is there anything you have for me?
I do not, well, Christie can send out the template on that board evaluation, get that sent out to everybody, so they can start looking at that.
One last thing I will mention too is I want to thank Christy, because all we've been doing, it seems like, has been working on agendas between revenue neutral rate, budget hearing, regular board meeting this month, as well as the retreat, the 2-night retreats. Again, Christy, thank you so much for your work. We've been doing a lot of agenda prep, so thank you.
Good. Thank you, Craig. Board reports, board members, yes.
I just wanted to state that a while back, we discussed about having the additional directors of the organization bring reports to the board. I think I don't know if we've hit the quarter, or we're waiting on the quarter, or if we've surpassed the quarter, but see if we can get an update from the grounds and transportation director. I know that they had an audit over the summertime, so it'd be nice to see at least what they had there. Food administration, I know that we have a new director, but I don't think we've had an update from that organization in a while. And same with the buildings.
The director for food will no longer be ours.
Okay. We can do
OPA will manage that, and then they'll have, managers, food managers, whatever they call it.
Yeah, we'll have a food service director, be an OVA employee, and then our kitchen managers, if you will.
All the
Yes.
administrative focus.
So we'll look to have a report from them probably next month.
I know we said quarterly, so I just wanted to make sure that we're staying on track with that.
Sure.
Anybody else have anything?
Also, I know we've asked to have like new staff come to, so that we can,
We've had a new director for a while.
meet the new staff at the beginning of the year, so.
That'd be nice, then, for sure. And then certainly, our Horizon Board nominee.
We'll work on that.
Anybody else have anything?
Do we have something for new staff, like a welcome to the district type, I don't know, get together type thing?
Pamphlet or some sort of.
Is that anything we've ever done in the past?
Well, the board has done a board picnic before, before school starts. We did not do that this year.
I'm talking about specifically for new employees.
We have, the 2 days of in-service training, but nothing in terms of, I don't think I'm hitting on what you're thinking about something, an informal meet and greet type thing.
Right, I agree with what they're saying, it would be good, but I'm curious if a board meeting is the correct setting, just because it's hard to speak as freely and get to know people.
Well, they have the 2-day in-service, which Craig tells us about, but we all have jobs
Right.
in the middle of the day,
So,
so we can't get there.
It may be worth looking into the idea of maybe towards the beginning of the year, we have an evening where we can, even get together and grill hamburgers or something and just have a conversation.
If I may,
That was a big.
so, I've been here the longest of the people in the back could say, I'm Dara Long, I'm teaching math this year. I mean, then I'm happy.
Because
to
they were
let
here
people
from just
do
the
that,
very
but then
beginning,
It wasn't like that.
just
last-
like when we have
It's just so you
students.
get a face with a name.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We do a lot of that with our new teachers at those 2 days. I mean, we're the people working most directly with those people, not that you can't meet them. We've done the staff picnic before. I mean, I feel like it got down to nobody coming because it's right at the start of the year when people are feeling the push, but I mean, it's whatever you guys want.
I'm not offended if that's not, if nobody else wants to do that. I was just
feel like-
trying to,
I mean, I feel like in my time here, like the first couple of years we did the picnic, I mean, some of you were on the board then, the place was full. And by the time we quit doing it, it was like
Hardly anybody
40
showed up.
people. I mean,
The other thing is too, if they come here, then everyone can see, right? All the public can put,
Well, we put
The
our
face
face
to a
in, and
name.
they look at us, say, I know who we are.
but I'm saying that the public all knows, okay,
Yeah.
these
The
are all the new
Republicans.
staff.
Okay. The Republican also does a, new staff, it's in the paper,
Right.
their staff.
It's not like real
which is good.
live person.
Yeah.
At a minimum, it'd be nice to at least have the directors come and introduce themselves.
Okay.
Everybody else, we can figure out another way.
Anything else? The only thing I have was I talked to Greg the other day, says, and I'm not sure where we're at, but we have that land north of the ball fields with the big dirt pile and the trees are on there. And so I asked Greg if he could look into, before the trees grow up, we have a forest that's gonna cost us a lot of money out there removed. If we could get some bids and have that removed and cleared, because we used to have somebody hay it, and then they quit haying it, and I think they quit haying it because we got trees growing all over. So anyways, so I think he's gonna be looking into that, so. Anything else?
So you're talking about that whole lane?
North of
17
the,
acres.
It's just the little
baseball.
sprouting trees.
it's just, it's not huge ones, but they're gonna be huge trees if we don't do something
You don't,
about it.
you don't take care
Well,
of it.
part of the reason we didn't hay that field is because we were hopeful that we were gonna be having construction on that field, so. But we do need to look at something there, and is it a controlled burn, is it a brush hog clearing, I'm gonna look into that and share some
But maybe if
information.
we get those trees cleared, then somebody can start haying it again or something, keep it kind of low down there, so it's,
yeah, if the cedar trees catch hold, it'll be gone in 3, 4, 5 years.
Yes.
you know.
I do have one thing. You reminded me. So when we did the fields, that's where that, and the dirt
Yeah.
pile came from.
Mhm.
Just kind of thinking ahead, always strategically, when we do the, drainage for that property, if that equipment's really close, what do you guys think, would it be advantageous to tempting to try to get them to move that equipment a block south and level that, push that out to where it's not a big pile?
Pile.
And it's more leveled out and just kind of, I'm not saying change any of the grade or anything, but just, you take that big pile and move it into 6 inches over that acreage, it'll smooth out pretty good. Might even make haying it smoother too.
I wonder if we were gonna give it to that project that was gonna be north of the Dollar General, but I think that fell through.
The amphitheater
Yeah, the amphitheater, all
motel
that stuff.
project, if I remember correctly.
But I think
Haven't heard anything on that for.
it might be a good timing thing that, I don't know who will get that bid,
Mhm.
but whoever does, if we could say, hey, what's the possibility you just level this ground out, what would that cost us?
Okay.
There,
I can
I'm
ask.
not looking at trying to spend money, but if we can save money, because the equipment's already there, and it's in the budget, but if it's not, just scrap it. But I was just thinking it might be a good time to
Yeah.
level that out. Alright. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, moving on. Budget adoption. So first we need to establish the supplemental general fund and capital outlay fund. So we just did that for the so we need to, adopt that. So motion to adopt the local option budget resolution at 33%, and to establish the 2025-2026 capital outlay fund at 5 mils.
Second.
Motion seconded. Any discussion? Submit your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Moving on to the budget itself,
You have some
and so,
information, that's right.
yeah, go ahead. The building needs assessment, and so, I assume that, they're gonna start working on those, or?
Well, every year we get those at the end of the year, and we look to consider those as we are building and developing a budget for the upcoming year.
Right.
So again, those, the building principals do the building needs assessments with their staff at the end of last year. We get that information, and we review that, and if there's anything we need to look at addressing, we try to address that with the upcoming budget. One thing that's also mentioned here is state assessments. We do not have state assessment information yet, because they are adjusting the cut scores. I think I sent the building admin some information, I think it's coming out the 10th.
Tomorrow, they sent an email tonight that
Okay,
says
so
tomorrow
nine.
at 9 a.m., so don't get on your kite, cause it's gonna be bogged down.
So tomorrow we'll get some information, but you guys, we always get, you guys as a board, we always give you information, updates on state assessments during our results reports, so you get that already throughout the calendar year.
So these
Reason I'm
changes
asking
that you're talking about coming out tomorrow, these are the ones that will shift like what quartile students fall into? And they determined, if I read it right, they were calculating it incorrectly in the past?
They were seeing,
Changing it, I mean,
they were seeing some of the kids that were scoring ones and twos that were going off to college and
Okay.
post-secondary success and actually having more success.
So it wasn't that they calculated wrong, it's that they changed their calculation.
They also compared across the states and found that our standards were extremely high compared to, and tried to level the playing field.
Okay, that makes sense. That's what I got out of it, but I wasn't able to verbalize it very well. Thank you.
I'll show you. No, good question.
The problem with doing that though, then, when you try to compare last year to this year, it's a different standard, and so it's like starting almost all over again with new baseline data, but.
So what I was hoping with this building needs is kind of struck a nerve a little bit, like, oh, this is just perfect timing when we're talking about board retreat to talk about what we need at the elementary school, but I don't know if it's all what I'm looking for there, is it?
Well, not really. The needs assessments can be staffing, it can be facilities,
So
it
it's not-
can be
is it-
a lot of different things. You know, for some districts, it might be technology support, it might be, a lot of different things that it could be that's needed for, students and staff to be successful.
So I'll have to admit, I haven't looked at it real close, I mean, I perused through it, but I thought, we certainly, when we have our retreat, we should make sure that we're looking at that in the elementary school at least.
Does Darla plan on being there, or do you ask them? Of course she does.
The retreat, yes.
Yeah, 'cause I did look through it pretty in depth, and there's some, what I noticed across all three places is that everybody has, elementary called it social emotional concerns, middle school called it student behaviors, and the high school called it mental health concerns, right? So we do have, it looks like we just approved a mental health person for USD 244, so I don't know how they're bouncing through each school district, or if they're only staying at the high school, because we did just hire before the high school. So we may need to communicate that to that person or the organization. You can't do it.
It's a grant position, written specific to
High school.
the high school.
Okay,
and
I
they
just seen it
partner-
said USD 244.
And they partner with Crossroads.
I will say though that Jackie is currently, she has gone through training with Crosswinds on some first aid mental health stuff for youth, and she is, we have pairs going through that at the high school, September 15th, and Lee and I, and Jackie met to get staff through, and then that plan is in the next year to do that at the middle school also.
Okay.
So there is some, just to provide the staff that training first and foremost, that she can branch out, cause, the Coffee County Mental Health Wellness Board, Amelia Merchant, is ahead of that, and I'm on that committee. We funded that program through the school with the training happening through Crosswind. So there is some that's building off of that, but it's not just, like, she's not gonna necessarily do it all through, but.
Well, maybe she may not be able to work directly with those people, but she is a very helpful resource that can be used within the other organizations in the district. For the elementary school, I noticed that you had a concern about the staff bathroom, so that'll be something that we need to discuss. There was something about special transportation. I didn't give much, but maybe we can discuss that at that time. And of course, every department talked about staffing needs, needing staff, so that's something that we're aware of.
Perfect example of what we've done with substitute pay, increasing substitute pay. We have fewer or spots where we can't fill. So we look to address that staffing piece, by increasing substitute pay. There's other, I can give other examples of how we've, I would say, hopefully improved, on a variety of different things from the building needs assessment information that we get from each building.
The other thing, the middle school brought up, it just said an alternative learning center. What does that mean?
We have students that probably could be more successful in different locations.
What does that mean?
So they're students, so if we suspend a kid or long-term suspend a kid, they go home. What do we do with them? Last year we had a student that was long-term. What do we do with them? What does that look like? I can think of a student that actually did not come back that would benefit from a location, whether we create it within the middle school or it's a location district-wide, whatever it is. And we have kids that aren't always going to be successful in the gen ed environment.
Well, students with significant needs that even maybe in special education can still be difficult for us to serve and meet their least restrictive environment and keep educating other kids. So those would be the kind of students that you're talking about.
I think we talked about that one year about in high school even that, for some reason over by the cafeteria, we were gonna take a room or something and do that. But didn't we talk about that a long time ago?
Well, I think that was when we were discussing how we were going to take care of the facility for bridges.
Oh, that was
We
it.
ended
That
up
was-
with,
that was it, yep.
a separate facility that was
You're right.
different than Burlington High School. No, good question.
Yeah, so it just talked about, it didn't really elaborate on what that meant. It just said, hey, an alternative learning center could help. But it didn't really, the question wasn't very direct, and of course the response wasn't very helpful, so that's why I was asking that. I wrote something else down at the high school and I'm trying to find it. So the high school does have a lot of other data information. Obviously this is no news to everybody. There is it says chronic absenteeism, I can't say that word, guys. Student mental health, sounds like we hired somebody to help that out. And dropouts is another big concern, so I guess just wanted to bring that up for the high school, that's a data there that, would like to see some results in that, right? So I don't know how that could happen. Let you guys work through that. It looks like the high school also talked about an alternative setting for the high school also, so I don't know. Again, it talks about a problem, but I don't know if we need to discuss a potential solution for that, or if it's just hey, we're just communicating with you guys about these concerns.
It was brought up when we had, the teachers, I can't remember the name of it. Linkage, thank you. They brought that up, that, I don't think there was a high school teacher here that day, but middle school and elementary, I believe. They brought up that was their concerns, and even with some of them, not just behavioral or, whatever it might have been, but even resulting in some of them some of these kids can get pretty big, and some of them are generally afraid that they can be hurt dealing with a kid who decided to act out. And I remember I asked, do you have any suggestions? And I think like we are giving them, it was blank stares. I don't know if anybody has an idea of how to fix this right now. But I don't know, it's the thing that concerns me the most when we talk about
I don't know if it's just one of those things that we're just sharing our thoughts with you, that's it, or if you guys are sharing thoughts for resolution, and that's why that's why I'm asking, is if there's a solution, then let's work together. If it's just, hey, we're just communicating our concerns, and I guess we can say, hey, thanks for sharing your concerns, and we can move on, but I don't think that's what you guys are saying.
Maybe it's something, Craig, you could reach out to some other superintendents in the state and see if anybody else has something going
How does,
that we could resource.
how does an alternative learning center fit in with like full inclusion and things like that?
It doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't.
So
So if
we
you guys.
can't do it, right, then, or I mean,
Well, you can do it.
Well, if you remember, again, many years ago at VES, we had, what was the name of that room? We had.
right, we had the room, like kind of a
behavior
safe room, or,
I can't-
yeah, like
I
a,
can't think, it
Wiggles and
Pride,
Needs.
Pride.
right,
So like our students with, special services, that, I mean, essentially when you have kids that are that disruptive or creating those challenges, you've gone down the gamut of special education services to legally get an alternate placement like that. But even in those settings, it's alternate, whether it's housed inside your school or housed somewhere else, I mean, there's still gonna be challenges. So whatever staff may be dealing with that is gonna be.
You're just putting on
Because
one
we had-
person now.
We had that program for a while at VES, I mean, and it still had its challenges.
So we would still have to assign a teacher to that, is that right? So,
Yes.
so that's just a teacher that you took out and put some,
And then at the middle school, you talked about some facility needs, which cued me to talk about the director reports, having issues and concerns. I thought, I don't know if we needed to do facility needs and concerns in the assessment and not directly from the director, I guess, is where the question came up about that. That was all I had from all the 3 assessments that I reviewed. If I stole anybody's thunder, then I'm sorry.
anybody else? Okay, so, multiple needs assessment and state assessment for providers of the Board of Education were evaluated by the board and were used in the budget approval process. During the revenue neutral rate hearing, the board adopted by roll call the resolution to exceed the revenue neutral rate. So, make a motion to adopt the 2025-2026 budget as presented. Motion seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, submit your vote.
This,
Huh?
does it say roll call?
No, the roll call was for the,
Gotcha.
Yeah, not for this. Good catch, just double checking.
revenue neutral's the only one we have to
it
do.
said the board adopted by roll call.
Roger.
Motion carries 6-0. Policy updates.
So you have some information there, you should have the June red line information, and there's one other additional item. I'm not gonna read through everything word for word. Again, wanna thank Christy for her help with this, we spent a lot of time going over this. If there's anything that you would like for me to address,
I really appreciated the red lines because then I could just see what's changed.
Yes.
That made it handy.
So these are all recommendations by KSB.
correct?
So they will take these recommendations and they will take at the meeting, the annual meeting, and they'll approve them at the annual meeting. Unless so, now's your time to protest or whatever, that you want something changed, then that would be Lucas's job to take it. So,
Any questions?
Craig,
Yes.
most of these I know are, kind of wording corrections, things
They
along
are.
those lines, or clarifications.
Yes.
I didn't see anything going through here that jumped out to me as some kind of major policy change that we need to look into. Am I missing anything?
You want me, say it one more time.
There was one whole new additional
Additional,
policy.
yeah.
Yes,
That's the next
It's
one.
all in red, actually.
yes,
Where am I looking there?
Yeah,
and that's enrollment of military students
Yeah.
which is not,
for us.
If they come from
Doesn't
another
come into
state,
play.
and they
Okay.
know they're gonna be stationed here, if they know they're gonna be stationed here, they can go ahead and enroll here.
Mhm.
Okay.
They're not living in Florida or something, so they
something we're gonna deal with on a regular
I would
basis.
say no, but others could. Junction City, in and around
Yeah, that's probably,
Manhattan possibly.
and that's JVCD.
Right.
Any questions on that?
Yes, anything that you need me to look at or address? And then there's one that, the student activity, the JH student activities, we just had one wording change there. If you'll notice, I think it's even highlighted or redlined in your, where is it there? Yeah. It's a may instead of a shall. But we would bring those to your attention, you know, if we were to looking to add or eliminate specific activities. You guys would be informed as a board.
So just so I make sure, so when it talks about activity fund management, that's not talking about the class funds, or is it?
No, we'll
I
be
know,
talking about that in
that's
a
why
second.
I just,
This is
because
different.
it kind of says that in that activity fund also, so I just want to be clear that they're two different things.
Yes, they are, but again, there's some information there in this policy JH, in terms of just general activity fund management,
Right,
keeping accurate records, monthly reporting,
which is like we
spending.
for the.
That's what you guys-
We get them, we see those
every month, exactly. So this is just general information, what we are already doing.
Yeah.
Yes. Good question.
Okay. Any more questions about policy updates? None? So going through the negotiated agreement, they found.
we have to
for-
vote.
We have to motion.
Oh, we did?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the policy updates as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Yeah. Motion second, discussion. Motion carries 6-0. Now negotiations.
Yes, the first time in 10 years that we missed getting an item into the negotiated agreement for you guys to approve. We forgot this was approved through negotiations to offer a stair step of October 1, November 1, and December 1, where you will, again, this was something our administrators wanted to have, to be able to get earlier, like retirement, so we can start hiring, trying to get people hired sooner than later. So we forgot to put this in. Kathy Freeman and I go over the negotiated agreement every year. We initial the pages, we date the pages, and we missed it, and it just was one of those things. We, again, just happened to happen the first time in 10 years. So we called KASB. KASB gave us the way to take care of this, and this is how they told us to do it. Saying it was approved during negotiations, was minute in there. So again, motion to ratify as amended is the official way to do it per KASB. Questions on this?
Any questions out of Kathy and her group? Did she
No.
understand it was just overlooked?
She did, it was
Yeah.
completely,
Okay.
like I say, this is the first time in 10 years that we missed something that was approved during negotiations. So, she missed it, I missed it, and it was, yeah, just one of those things.
Okay, I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to ratify the 2025-26 negotiated agreement as amended.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Hearing none, submit your vote. Motion carries 6-0. MOU for the county and between the county and the USD 244, this is the emergency management stuff.
Correct, so Martin Ernst presented with us at, I think Martin presented the fiber board, correct, Craig? And so he presented, again, it's another collaborative partnership that we are working again with the county to be able to have that radio communications, emergency communications, just all communications for student safety, emergency services, and emergency transportation. The county will provide us with new radios. We'll have those radios and they'll use those, and they will have that connectivity within all, again, with all of us in the county that provide services for people. And then we have that connectivity. It's just a better way to communicate. So again, big thank you to Martin, Ernst, and people with the county for working with us. Again, no expense to us. The radios, now if we were to damage a radio and need to replace it, we'd have to pay for it, but anyway.
Where are these radios at, Greg?
They are not here yet.
Where will they be?
They're gonna be with the different providers, the different, like transportation and grounds, they'll be with Margarito, maintenance.
These are not the
right.
bus radios?
No, there will be some that are bus radios as well.
Okay.
So there'll be bus radios, and if we, like, say, for example, we get rid of a bus, we're gonna have to take that off the radio, off
okay.
the bus and put it onto our new bus. So they could be bus radios, they could be handheld radios.
Okay.
Is
So
what my
basically,
understanding
if
is.
there's a problem on a route, the bus driver can get on the radio and get their direct supervisor directly on the radio.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and the connectivity should be even better. There's some pockets, some areas there are challenging in the
But
county.
Martin's putting in additional towers right now.
Correct, which will help that as well. So again, big thank you to the county, and cannot thank them enough again for the work that we do together in that partnership piece. So, any questions on this? This is again a really nice asset for us all.
There's questions, but I can direct it to emergency management, but I wonder if the crossover traffic for law enforcement might be helpful. If they run into some problem, they could call for assistance and that would be directly monitored maybe.
Okay.
I can direct that to Marty though.
Perfect.
Well, yeah, that was my concern, because you are saying that they'll use these in place of what is currently in the bus?
Correct.
Like, and then, so who's listening to all?
There'll be different
These.
channels, the way I understand
So
it.
we can have it on a channel directly with like the
It's
bus
on-
drivers
it's
and
on
the,
bus.
That's the way I
okay,
understand it.
because I didn't want like student name confidentiality if is some kind of issue, I don't want it going kind of like.
The other, just because I have personal knowledge, they run an encryption, so just anybody with a scanner can hear it. And then they can make up certain channels designated for certain things, and certain people can have, you know, different channels assigned to them, or on the radio, they might not have a supervisor channel or something like that.
Sounds
Okay,
a
so
lot
we'll have the
It's very
countywide one,
controllable.
but we'll have one specifically just directed through our district or just.
Just for the.
Sounds like a lot like the ones we use in the plant.
Yes.
Basically a template they'll build. Seems like a good deal. I kind of forgot that we were running radios.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The good thing about this radio system is that if they set it up correctly, if we have a state bus that goes to Hutch for a state, it will traverse all the way across the state. You can talk on the radio, like I can talk to somebody in Hayes over the radio, because it just piggybacks over on the towers.
Nice.
Yeah.
The out-of-town piece is helpful
Yeah.
because we have
And
a lot of
we do
vehicles.
travel a little bit down to Canyon,
Oh, yes.
Hutch, and
Yeah.
Sure.
Do we make a motion to approve the radio MOU between the school district and Coffee County?
Second?
Motion second, discussion? Submit your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, moving on, proposal for an DHS activity accounts.
So we have done some work with this, Area Ann has taken the lead with this, and again, involved Lee, Christie, myself, on some of these inactive accounts. There's some information there that you have, and that we are looking to propose. And so, Christie has also consulted with our district auditor based on current board policy, the student handbook at the high school, administration's request on what to consider. I'm gonna kind of open it up now, if, I don't know, if Christie or Ariane have anything to say, or Lee, in terms of these activity accounts, or if you guys have any questions for them.
Well, I think, you know, from what I read, I mean, it's good that, because I know every year we've had discussions with classes leaving money behind, and, you know, that, why do I leave my money behind, we can't have it, and the next class gets it, and all this stuff. Well, I frankly didn't ever know what was really happening to it, well, there I see it there, just sitting in a fund. And we probably should be able to do something with it, but I think we have to be good stewards of it and figure out how we're gonna do that, and, you know, I read some of what you had for the policy, and I just have a few questions about it, so.
if you have questions, I've gone through it over and over, so.
Well, I appreciate that, I'm sure you have, so the board, will assume control of all inactive activity funds and disperse those funds to other activity accounts or expend the funds as directed by the board. Now, so, what other activity accounts would they go to? And that was one of my questions.
It's on the proposal section.
It's in the
It's on the
proposal.
proposal section.
I mean, I saw that, so that was just, and then, each student activity fund shall have an employee in charge of the fund. Employee is who?
So like the class has a class sponsor, and they're the ones that are in charge of that account. Then each club that's within the activities, they have a sponsor. And so like the Brothers and Sisters in Christ, they had a sponsor, but now that person has left, so that's why it's been inactive since 2020.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, so, once these get kind of moved up, then you won't lose that employee per se, I mean.
So and we said, okay, so if Brothers and Sisters in Christ, the teacher, the sponsor that was running it, they left. So it would be open for 2 years in case someone new came in and replaced them and wanted to keep that program going. But we thought after 2 years, then more likely or not, it's not gonna be a club. And I mean, it could start again, but then if it's 5 years later, then they should start with their own funds. So, we're just kind of trying to clean it up and move on, and so the money's not just sitting there.
Oh, I agree, I think we should clean it up first.
When you say 2 years, do you mean if, let's say, one of our clubs that we have right now, this was the last year we did it,
Mhm.
are you saying we skip 1 year of not doing it?
No, I say
Or are you
2.
saying we skip 2 years and then we get rid of it?
2 years.
Okay, correct.
Yeah, that was just, I think 1 year is not enough, because then you still could have somebody move in or come
I
in
agree,
that
I just
wants
wanted to make sure I
yeah,
understood what you meant by 2.
2 full whole
Okay.
years, 2 full school years.
The other thing I was gonna ask, have the classes ever come back after the fact and tried to use that money for anything? And the reason I say that is obviously, you have a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, they're probably not thinking about where their high school money went. But I have heard of classes using it for class reunions and stuff like that at other schools. Have we ever done anything along those lines?
Nobody has ever come back and asked for money that
Okay.
was from their graduating class. I know there's been a couple of graduating classes that did a donation towards the school. So for example, the score tables for basketball, volleyball, wrestling, those were donated by different graduating classes.
Sure.
And then there even, I think, is a notation on those score tables donated by the graduating class of 2019 or whatever the case might be. So that's, again, just hopefully encourage those especially in this case, graduating classes. Let's get your money taken care of before you can graduate.
Yeah,
Need a
clean it
zero
up.
balance.
So I think it'd be a good idea to make sure that we relay this clearly to the, especially the class sponsors. The clubs I'm not as worried about, but the class sponsors, hey, you need to make sure these kids know that
And
whatever you don't spend is going away in 2
And
years.
that's somewhere within there that, that they would know that when they graduate, it has to be empty, or it's gonna go to in the policy, it says it's gonna go to a class that is currently at BHS. I know some schools say it goes straight to freshmen, the incoming freshmen.
but I didn't want to be so specific, cause there may be another class that has a circumstance, you know, COVID, that, you know, one class may have lost more money. You would never know if that's gonna happen again.
You're talking about the handbook statement?
Mm-hmm.
So funds left after graduation, funds left in the school accounts after the class has graduated, may be transferred to other classes still in school,
Mhm.
dispersed appropriately by administration.
And that was already in there, we just need to make sure that that is, relayed to them.
It's actually been in there for years,
Yeah.
it just hasn't been carried out.
Right.
So I guess we're leaving it open. My question on that would be, what keeps, well, that says that we're giving it to another class. My question is what keeps us from saying, well, this year, we're gonna, or next year, after this is all taken care of, what keeps us from saying, okay, when the 2027 class graduates, we're gonna spread their money amongst 4 classes, but when the 2028 class graduates, we're gonna give all of it to the freshmen. The 2029 class, we're gonna give it all to seniors.
And that was a choice, like, I would say give it to the incoming freshmen, but I wanted to make sure we did offer that if it's gonna be open, that's just the way it's stated now, so I didn't feel like that I had the right to change it right then.
So my question would be is who's gonna make that decision? Who decides where it goes?
I think that the class would decide, like the graduating class, if they have extra money, then that could be a way that we make sure that it's empty, and you say, okay, you have $500. It needs to be spent on donation or whatever, or you tell us you want it to go to a certain class.
It looks like it only comes back to the administration if that class does not make that decision and they
Exactly.
vacate. Then we have to, or administration, or this high school administration, some portion of the administration has to make that decision because they vacated without spending down their funds or donating them.
I only ask because I could see a time when somebody would say, hey, my kids helped fund that money and now it's not, they have no say, I don't agree with where you moved it to. So it just makes me wonder, like, I'm fine with your idea, I think that's a good idea to let the exiting class make that call, but if it comes to administration, I think it'd be a good idea to say, if it's left behind, it's spread evenly amongst classes, or it's given to the freshmen. To me, leaving it that far open, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
And we did talk about that, and that, I'm very supportive of being more specific.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how specific the board would want to be,
Well,
so I left that open.
I don't know, I don't think we need to be as super specific, because like you said, we might have, I mean, you know, we could have something like COVID pop up where kids, you know, miss whatever opportunity to fundraise, or, I don't, you know, but I do think the class lady should decide where they want their money to go.
They just need to make that decision before they leave.
Yeah, agreed.
That's what I prefer, yeah.
And I would say with this information that's been shared with you all, I would say that Lee and Ariane will be doing a good job of making sure with those graduating classes and their officers and their sponsors to follow up and make sure that that money is appropriately dealt with before they graduate.
Yeah, and we talked in previous meetings that when we do have new sponsors, that they get some sort of acclimation training to this is your responsibilities, and this is just one more thing to add to that list. To make sure that when their class does graduate, that these funds are dispersed or taken care of, or.
And right now, it's Mr. Over is the sponsor for seniors, so it would be just one thing that, like, when he knows he has his last meeting with those senior groups, then they make that decision.
Yeah,
So
vote on
we
it.
wouldn't have to tell a bunch of different people, it's been him, and that's the way we, for right now, it's gonna stay.
So I guess I would just ask, so will all the money that's sitting there now that we're gonna transfer into one account, what are we gonna do with that money?
So so we have two, this is where it got tricky.
Yeah.
So we have athletic account, but it also, it's called athletic account, but it includes, speech, like, not debate, forensics, I should say. It includes forensics, and it includes the, when they compete.
So scholars bowl.
Scholars bowl.
Yeah, they're
Wording, yeah, okay. So it includes those two things as well. That's one account at one bank. Then we have another account that's listed as activities, but everything in there is very specific to every single club that we have. In the athletic account, there is a line that says athletics, and then it's football, baseball, and it's broken down, but there is that line that says athletics. So we've said, could we change that line to say BHS athletics and activities? So then we can move these funds there, and it would be used for, we said example, maybe a new mascot. We would work really hard to try to purchase something that it's not specific to one sport or one activity. It could help the entire student body.
So, you said there was a second account that had other activities, I assume they're like the non-CASHA activities?
Yes. That's
So
what it is.
if one of those activities went away,
Well,
based
and
on
that's
what you
where
just
I went
said,
up at the top, if you go back up, where like it says wings, or
Yep.
Spanish club, that's one of them. It's been inactive, and then I thought we put where that was gonna be moved to. Is it
Yeah.
down?
Yeah.
It is on here, yeah.
Okay, oh, there we go.
Four,
So
five,
basics
six.
goes, I said basic would go into FCA, cause they're similar. And wings would go into skills, cause they're similar. And then Spanish club, there wasn't another foreign language, but I went ahead and said student leadership team, because that was just, another account where, with a lot of, it could reach a lot of different students. So I tried to, on those ones that are in the club, to match it up with something that's similar club.
so my question though, not line number 3 there talks about how any future inactive account that's more than 2 years old will go into the BHS athletics fund. My question would be if it was a non-CASHA activity that went away,
And
that
that-
implies that that money will go into the
And that's
CASHA.
why we kind of want to make that line be athletics/activities.
So you're talking one of the two accounts?
So it could be, it would still be this one account, but it would be used for athletics or clubs,
Go to
Yeah.
that,
or activities.
to go to either way.
Yeah, I get that.
It's one line item with money that would go to athletics or activities,
Yeah.
not just.
I thought the athletics account was the athletics and activities account.
It's not
It's
worded
not.
that way currently, and
That's why
that's
it
why
needs to
we
change
need to
it.
change it.
I'm probably getting confused. Can you tell me an activity that is not in the CASHA account?
FBLA.
FBLA, okay,
And
so if it-
band,
okay, fine, band, that works too. Either one of them, great. I don't think we're getting rid of either of those two
No.
activities, but let's say they do. That comes out of the non-CASHA account. The way I read this is that if they went away, whatever money they had left would then be transferred into the CASHA account.
and that's where we have wondered,
If we need to
How
change,
many
if we need to change the wording, we can.
What only makes me wonder that, because the non-CASHA is definitely not athletics. So if it has the word athletics and activities, it makes me think it's the CASHA account. Because we have athletics and activities and just activities.
So on number 3, it needs to be moved to the line item for clubs and,
I would think some of them need to go to the club's account, some of them need to go to the CASHA account, depending upon what went away.
and I,
right.
If you go to 2C, you're gonna look at activity and athletic they have it broke out with 2 different line items too.
I understand that. I'm just saying the proposal says the money's going to one account.
And the account is activities / athletics.
Which is the CASHA stuff.
But they're
It
putting them
doesn't say
together.
Keisha. I'm getting confused, I'm worried, why
Yeah,
just
He's thinking
Keisha.
That's how
CASHA
it's set up.
sanctioned events.
Yes.
CASHA sanctioned events versus like
Not.
clubs.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it
Yeah,
is
I get-
only
yeah.
for Keisha,
So
events,
it's-
that account.
It's athletics and a couple activities that are CASHA sponsored, right? But like
because
band
that's the
and,
way it's broken up. That's the way the district has decided to make both accounts.
and I don't think there's a problem with that.
But that's why if we added activities to that top line, then it would be used for the non-CASHA activities as well.
So you're saying athletics or not athletics or?
I think that's what we've all been saying for.
I'm arguing about the parentheses,
Yes,
I understand
yes,
that,
yes.
but I think it's important.
And I understand, we've
So-
talked about this, so
Yeah, can be used for either or.
it can
I'm
be,
on the other side, I'd like to keep it separate, so the athletics doesn't take all the money from the activities.
That's
So that
exactly
process
what
That's
I'm
what
saying.
he's trying to
Yes.
say, too.
Yes.
but there's no, there was just no separate line, I guess you could put in the activities account, then another separate that says just activities.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder if we could clarify that. I just, as a parent of activities kids, not athletics kids, I could see that going over very poorly.
What if your activities needed some extra money and that athletics had an extra money, then you're painting yourself in the corner because you can't pull from athletics.
We don't do that now.
So real quick,
Okay.
everything that's listed here are non-CASA. These are all activities. All this money is gonna go back into the non-CASA with the exception of a proposal, which Ariane has mentioned with regard to the mascot.
I understand that, I'm talking 3 years down the road.
Right.
If the band disbands in 3 years, as
Mhm.
ridiculous as that sounds,
Mhm.
and we give all the band money to the football team, I don't
That's,
think,
and that's not what,
Yeah,
again,
that's not what we're trying to do.
but that's what it sounds like when I read it.
Well,
Yeah.
then what we're here to
Let's
discuss
rewrite
is the verbiage to,
I agree.
so.
So there will be two
What do you
separate
propose
lines.
the verbiage?
Yeah, so there needs to be 2 separate lines, right?
Yeah, two separate lines. And I agree, I spent some time reviewing this, it looks like in your proposal, we would send
Also two
about
separate things.
$7,000 over
Right,
to
it's- yeah.
the BHS athletics activities combined fund.
that's, yes.
Okay, so yeah, and that's where I think Bob and I are in line, that we don't agree that it should be combined. Again, the risk being athletics taking over all the money, or spending most of it if needed and not leaving. Other activities, I remember many years back, something about,
That's
and that's just one of those activities, right? Esports, having those activities, being one of them, and not being able to have the funding to do an online tournament, right? So they were like, we don't have money for you, so go do it, because, and again, I don't know the story behind that, but I do think that it should be separated. We're looking at, $7,000 that, from the proposal of what you're trying, or I say you, that the recommendation is trying to send over to one, combined account, right? If I did my math right.
Just, and again, that was the line, when you look under the activities, there is no, we can propose to make a line there just for activities.
It just makes me wonder, I apologize, I interrupted you.
Okay.
Can we put in there that if an activity that is funded out of account A goes out of business, that money goes back into account A to be spread amongst the account A activities or athletics, and if it's a B, then it goes into B?
So, and then one other thing about these accounts that are in there now
It's not
is
up
that,
to me, it's up to you all.
yeah,
And
And then-
if we're discussing, if we're discussing inactive accounts, that is why it's being brought to the board,
Yeah.
because it's an inactive account. So the wording, this is without having to start from scratch. Arian, is bringing the proposal to you all for you all to discuss. So if that is the wording that you guys want to do, then we can table this proposal.
Yeah.
We can bring it back next month, with different verbiage for you all to review ahead of time.
So,
And
When I was asking, I wasn't saying like, Christie, will you allow us? I understand that we have to make that decision.
well, it looked like you were asking me a question, like,
Well,
can I, and I
yes.
said, and so.
Yeah, sorry, I apologize. You have a kind face, you're easy to talk to.
I do, just, and then you can go back and watch this, so I did write a handful of items here. Well, and we can discuss it later, you can tell Craig, but, we'll start off with what I wrote down. Who owns the accounts, right? Sounds like it's the class sponsors. The next question is,
well,
how
not
can-
once they're, like, when they're active, but then when they're non-active, it actually then becomes the high school.
So, we'll continue, I'll go through this. So who owns the account? How can the money be spent currently? and on what things, right? So why are they leaving money behind? Maybe they don't know how they can spend it, what they can spend it on. So I think we haven't discussed that at all on like, what are approved spending items for the class? And if it's just, hey, you got $2,000 left, class of 2024, we're gonna see if you can donate it to a new table or whatever the case. So I think we need to, the sponsors need to know what they can spend the money on, so we're not leaving that and the class gets to use it how they fundraised it. And some kids might wanna say, hey, I want all $2,000 going to the band, right? That you don't know.
And that, yeah, that's totally.
That's up to them. But
Yeah.
I think we need to figure out how they can spend it, and if there's no way to spend it, then they need to decide how they can, redistribute that money. Who dispenses the money? It sounds like whoever owns the money, so if I go to them and say, hey, I need $500 to pay for plane tickets to go to Orlando or whatever the case may be, who's gonna give that money? We just talked about the designation. Another thing that I think that we could look at is dispersing that money in a percentage-wise to other accounts. I think a Wildcat Care Club is an important one that we could, we can say, hey, 10% of any money left is gonna go to the Wildcat Care Club. If there's any money left, 10% of it goes there. Or 10% of it goes to the reduced meal, I don't know what that fund is, right? 10-20% of it goes there. I'd like to see it used more in that way than just saying, take it to the athletics fund, right? And something to.
And again, that's why I've tried to rename it.
Yeah.
I did not want it to be like athletics. My example to him was if
Well,
they
you don't have
needed
that
a
title athletics,
drum,
so
yeah.
that's.
Well, and I would say, as a former athletic director, I've never even had them split into accounts. It's always been one. So, I mean, it's commonly activities, athletics as one.
Yeah, and then the other thing, I wrote a lot of stuff down.
I might just real quick say that even though it is one account, it is managed by two different people. The fund lines, I think we might be getting hung up a little bit about that. Each of those fund lines is separately and designated for a particular activity, whether it's football, for example, or it's an activity. They're managed separately, even though it's all under the same. So we might be getting hung up just a little bit on that, but they are managed separately. And the board gives the building secretary's authority to do so. And it is up to the club and the sponsor to determine what they want to spend that money on as a club and a sponsor. So I don't know if trying to determine percentages of what we might recommend for that, or maybe overstepping bounds for our current policy. Whereas right now, the reason again that we're bringing it is that these are inactive accounts. Our policy gives the board authority to determine or help determine where those funds go. But normally, if things were maybe operating as they should, this should really be a one-off type of situation. The class graduates and they will have either expended or donated the monies. So this is just, it's kind of a unique situation where Arian was digging down deep and, discovered, this as far as, looking at these class funds and by each of those particular line items. And that's where this is kind of all stemming from.
I gotcha. It's just looking at it without having much, it just kind of leaves it up to your own interpretation of what it says. And
Why don't, based on this conversation, I think we have a pretty good idea of some things that you would like, you all as a board. We will have a retreat on the 10th, probably won't have anything ready for the 10th, but the 24th, maybe we'll have something to discuss at a retreat or in preparation for the next board meeting coming up in October, if that's okay. I might even give you that information ahead of time in a Friday notes, if we don't get a chance to get through everything, and at a retreat. So I think, is there anything else that we need direction on? I think we got a pretty good idea.
Are they allowed to donate like externally? Like would a class be able to, like, we wanna give $1,000 to God Storehouse or whatever? Can they take that money and donate it externally?
I would actually need to research that.
Okay.
I would want to talk to our auditor and make sure that would, and it would
And,
also,
yeah.
Yeah.
Or if it has to stay within the school, cause I think that that's something that our administration and our class sponsor for the seniors would need to know is what can, like you said, what are the options we can do? Does it have to stay within the school, or can it go to the community, or can it, you know, whatever that class wants to?
yeah, so if the class has a desire to do that, then I would, then reach out to our auditor once we would know, so I could be very specific about
Okay.
whether this is okay or not.
Okay.
We'll check on that, and we'll get back and we can have this discussion continue.
So do you need a motion to
So
table?
I'll make a motion to table this, discussion for a date to be determined
Thank you.
later.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion?
I just wanna thank Arian for putting the work in on this.
Yes.
I don't think that I'm shooting down the idea, cause I have questions.
All your questions, I thought of.
Okay.
Like, there's,
Cause the community comes to us, it depends
I under,
on
yeah.
what side
I
they're
made a
on,
motion,
on what they wanna.
somebody
put.
second it?
Yes, it's seconded,
Yeah, Ron.
so,
I wanna make it, so
fair.
it feels like everyone can have an opportunity to get it, so
Absolutely.
that's kind of.
Motion to table discussion, yeah.
Motion carries 6-0.
This next one's actually mine. So, we have been a part of this MOU, for, I don't know, ever, way before I have been here. But the state and auditors required that the Flint Hills Co-op put an MOU in place, to clean up the process. This is year 2 of that, and that's basically, that they provide our birth to 3 services, and that is just to continue doing that. That's how it's been, I don't know, 13, they have historical perspective, but they've been doing it since way before I was here, so.
How would someone get these services?
So there's a child find process with that too, but a lot of times it comes from the medical realm, because medical diagnoses are typically what trigger a lot of birth to 3 services. And then once they're in that, like, then there's like parameters that we have to adhere to, like within 90 days of their 3rd birthday, we have to be invited to a transition meeting, and then that, they're evaluated for an IEP at that point. So it's typically triggered from the medical world.
Is it paid through the state? Like the, as well as, they get the money from the state?
Yeah.
Is-
Go ahead, Christie.
So it used to be called Tiny K
Yeah.
years ago, infant toddler, and they received grant monies or dollars based on their total numbers of participants. At one time, Burlington actually had infant toddler services. Jessica Griffith, when she started, she had that program, or was running that program for us. But as our numbers declined, total numbers declined, in that area, Flint Hills, partnered with our county to be able to take on those kids and provide those services.
And actually, currently, one of the providers is a former pre-K teacher of ours that transitioned into that role.
Is it very well utilized?
Mm-hmm.
It is utilized.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, I'm,
I can't give you a number because we don't house it, so, I mean, I can't give you a direct
I
number,
would
but
say
I,
like we transition or meet on
how many?
maybe 5 kids a year.
Okay,
and then and it's countywide, so,
right.
so I mean, like I said, I can't give you a number or percentage, but I do know.
Okay, that makes me feel better. Thank you.
Okay, motion to approve the local IDEA Part C to Part B transition MOU as presented.
I'll second.
Motion second, discussion? No discussion, submit your vote.
I did not name it. They should.
You should be able to say idea.
We got A, B, C.
I know, I was doing that too, F and G. I'm like,
Motion carries 6-0.
Elevator.
We have any executive session, no executive session, student issue, no student issues, that's good.
Yep.
Closing item, debriefing.
Darla's
Yes.
here. Sorry, came across, just had a lot of questions, it wasn't attacking, I was just trying to understand, and I was like, wait a
Your
minute.
first presentation
It
will
looked,
beat you up.
it looked really thought out, and I do appreciate it. I think
Yes.
that just with that, just one little hiccup, if we fix that, bring it back to us, I think we'll be good.
Yeah. So, Celine, you have
Yeah, and then I just wanted to thank the public, like some of this, you know, like in Darla's board report and in our consent agenda or whatever, we had a lot of donations, so.
yeah.
And I wanna thank, so we had $3,530 donated by local individuals and local businesses. And that was for the Wildcat Care Club, FBLA, the Track Club, and Student and Teacher of the Month, so thank the public for that. And then also to thank the public for participating and supporting our internships for our juniors and seniors, because we have 25 students that are participating in that, and so our local businesses, you know, they don't have to do that, so we appreciate that. And then the community support, helping kids get back to school, with the shoes, like the Kicks for Kids event, the haircuts, the free haircuts that were, held at the rec center, and all of the school supplies, donations, book packs, and all of that. And then all of the, you know, extras, leftovers, whatever came to the school,
Yeah.
so that was great they did that, so thank you to the public.
Just last comment, I promise. Thanks again to Aaron and Lee, you know, looking at those inefficiencies that we have in place, something else that, you know, create those efficiencies and processes. And then if it's something that can be learned around the district or other schools, just want to continue encouraging to share those information with the, it's a nice seeing the, you know, having a fresh set of eyes on stuff. It's like, wait, why are you guys doing this? You know, let's try something different. So I look forward to seeing what the efficiencies you guys find for us.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you all for coming, look forward to seeing you on Wednesday night, or Wednesday at 5, and Craig will have a happy meal for us.
Chicken nuggets.
Chicken nugget, so,